Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Rohan Khandelwal. I head the Department of Breast Diseases at CK Birla Hospital, Gurgaon. And welcome to this second session where I'll be talking with a breast cancer conqueror. And it's my honor to introduce Mrs. Leah Philip. She has finished her breast cancer treatment recently. And, she's agreed to share her journey with all of you. So I'm very thankful to ma'am. And welcome to this session, ma'am. So, why don't you just tell the viewers about yourself, and then we can come to the more technical questions.
Yeah, I'm Leah Philip. I am 45 years old, and I have two kids: an elder one who's a teenager and a younger one who's 10 years old. I work with an organization called Gain India, and that's it.
Okay. Right, so ma'am has recently finished her treatment and she underwent surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. And currently she's on hormonal therapy. So she's had all four treatment options which are there for breast cancer. So to start off with, my first question is that how did you come to know about the lump? And when you got to know about your problem, how did you go about getting it diagnosed?
It was basically a self-check. I saw it while checking it, but I did sit on it for some time, which I shouldn't have done. And then it slowly started coming and sticking to the skin. That's when it really worried me, and that's when I first went to my gynecologist. She saw it and she referred it to doctor. That's how it all started. That's how the journey started.
Right. So, when patients come to me, a lot of patients have a doubt that if I do a biopsy of the lesion, if I do that needle test, which I did to confirm the diagnosis, the cancer would start spreading even faster. Did that thought cross your mind ever?
Never. Because I did my basic research that never said anything like that. So, it never occurred to be that way.
Right. So, what was your first reaction when you were conveyed that it is breast cancer? I would just request you to tell me from the day when you got to know till at least a week after that. What were the various emotional changes which you went through, and how did you cope with that?
Initially, it was a heartbreak. I remember all tears had come in front of sir only when he had told me this. So it started with that. Went back home. Told my kids were pretty supportive. My elder one, he was about to write his 12th exam that time. It was detected in November.
Right, yeah.
So that was my first concern. And in fact, I sat on it because of that also, I would say. Because typical mother, I was like, bete ka 12th, let him finish with his 12th, then I will think on it. But then I didn't sit till that long, luckily. And then they were like, no, nothing would happen, don't worry. Then I called my father. That was the biggest hit. I had to tell him. He stays alone in Kerala. So his support was there. This was the initial. My husband was he went into a shock initially, but he said, no. And I have a lot of people in my family who's gone through this cancer thing. So we know a little bit of it. My mother passed away because of that. So 1 week was disastrous. Then I went and told my boss. That's when I cried once when I was explaining it. Then what happened is I had a friend. I have a friends group, my college friends, who I messaged that this is it. The first day when you told me in the night, immediately I had messaged them. So out of which one of my friend was already gone, which I never knew about it. So she called me up and she was the first one to tell me that no, it is nothing to worry, you can go through the whole thing without any problem. And my first reaction was, I'm going to leave my job. So she was the one. That was the first reaction I had. For this, at least I had to take a sabbatical for a year or something. So she was one who said, no, you can't, you have to be in the office because that's one big support and that keeps you going.
I think so. We also had this discussion where I always told you not to leave your job.
So that was you, her, and one of my bua who had gone through this. She's an agriculture officer. She's with the villagers always. She's the other one who said, no, you can't leave the job. You have to work. So that kept on going, and that's how I started off the journey. So 1 week was, yes, disastrous, but fine. Then I came off of it.
So, if I have to take away one thing from this, I would say that having a good support system around you was a very helpful thing.
Very much, and you need to talk it out.
Right.
That's something which I found in the entire journey, because the more you talk, people come out saying that, okay, I was also a part of this, and they give you the experience. Till that time, no one tells you about it. So when you talk, they tell you their experience, and then you feel, okay, we can do it.
Right.
That support.
So, you know, in India, everyone says that when you're diagnosed with a thing like cancer, everyone will call you and give their 2 cents of advice. Right, so I'm sure that would have happened with you as well, and some of that advice you really don't want to follow. So how do you manage those people, and how do you, deal with that kind of advice?
To be very frank, I didn't tell many people. I did call lots of people in my entire 9 months. I kept, because it was COVID time, I was sitting at home. I called so many people. I never showed them that I was going through a treatment, so people didn't knew. And who I felt that they would support me, I normally talked with them only. Initially, yes, there were people who told me. I just heard, took whatever I wanted and left whatever was not required.
Fair enough. So just selective information
yes.
took, and you followed that.
Yes.
And with regards, I've had a lot of conversations with your husband as well, because he was there all throughout your treatment.
Yeah.
And he was probably one person who was more aggressive in terms of treatment than the doctors also. So there was a point where we could have avoided chemotherapy for ma'am, but I remember him being very categorical and saying, no, it's better that she gets chemotherapy.
He was like, do it, whatever you have to do it and finish it off. Don't sit on it.
Right.
He was very clear on that. So we'll support you and just do it. Chemo is something which is always a dreaded thing.
True.
So uske baad what would happen, and while you are going through it, how would the house run, and all those worries were there, but still it just happened.
Right.
With all the support.
So first came the surgery part.
Yeah.
And what were the determinants when you went in for surgery? People know that there are two options, mastectomy versus breast conservation. So what was going through your mind when you took your decision? And if you could just share it.
I initially started off saying that breast removal.
Right.
And then I went to lots of, again, I had a chat with many of my people who have gone through this, and my aunts who are nurses, and one of my son's friend's father who's an oncosurgeon in army. So I had a heart-to-heart discussion with many of them, and then they all convinced me, so it's not required, because it's at such a position that you don't need to. If you can save your breast, go for it. So that's how I took a final call. Initially I had in fact come and said I'm removing my breast,
Right.
but then I think a week before, not even a week before, 3-4 days before the surgery, I took this call that no, after doing a bit of research, I won't say I just jumped into it, but yeah, I did talk to lots of people, and then they all convinced me, not, you can go ahead with this one.
Fair enough. And after surgery, so I get a lot of questions from patients, and their biggest concern is, especially if they're right-handed, that if they're undergoing surgery on that side, they won't be able to use their arm after that. So if you could just share your experience regarding that, since when did you start working again after your surgery, and was it a restricting factor for some of your daily activities?
I don't think it was at all a restricted activity, because I started using it the moment I think the tubes went off, or even when the tubes were there. Lots of exercises really helped me, and one of my own created exercise was doing crochet. So it gave me that fighting thing, or I can't say it.
Also kept you busy.
Yeah,
so you
not
weren't...
only busy, it gave me my hand movement was too much. Crochet keeps the hand movements, so that hand movements really helped me out. So, and lots of exercise. Yes, I did a lot of exercise to keep it going.
Right.
So, but there was no restriction. I don't feel anything. Maybe a breast removal, I'm not very sure, but with the lump removal, I really don't feel any restriction at all.
And for how long were you in the hospital?
1 day.
Right,
It's
so
just
that's
1 day.
another thing which I want to put across, that breast cancer surgery, usually the hospitalization is for a single day. At some places, daycare surgery can also be done, but it's just a single day admission, and you're pretty much back to your normal daily activities from the next day. So that is regarding surgery. After surgery, your report came back as favorable, and we sent out a genetic test, a molecular test to determine whether you would require chemotherapy or not. Unfortunately, that turned out to be high
That
risk.
was a sad point for me, surely.
Right, yeah. So I remember that because in between, you'd made everyone was pretty much convinced that probably you'll be able to avoid chemotherapy, which is the most dreaded part. So now coming to the chemotherapy part, once it was decided that you're going to get chemotherapy, what was your reaction again, and how did you prepare yourself for your first chemo session?
First chemo was really scary. I was like, I don't know how many prayers I must have said. I went to the church, did all sorts of things like that because it was my first time. I had no reaction. It was like people told me so much of things about it, so it was a bit scary. I had prepared my office people also that I may be not coming for the week, or maybe I may take 100 leaves in between. I don't know what all I had decided on for that 1 week. The first week when I came here, did my chemo. It was first a port. We had put a port first, and then the chemo. First one went off very easily, so it was like I had lots. And in fact, I remember the first injection which we had to take. So before the injection, I had told my boss, I had told all my colleagues, tomorrow I'm not coming because there lots of body pain would happen, so I won't be able. And next day I land up in the office and people are like, you said you're not coming in. So it was pretty easy. I think first went off pretty easy.
Right. So, so you addressed a very important thing, that there was no pain during chemotherapy.
No.
So that is a misconception which patients have. They think that chemo is very painful. So to reiterate again, no pain during chemo. Yes, you do have weakness a few days after chemo, a couple of days after chemo that starts, but usually there's no pain.
In the first cycle or the second cycle, you really don't feel much of it. From the third cycle, yes, you'd start.
If you're taking a weekly one, but those who are probably taking a 3 weekly,
then it must be this first one you may hit.
Sure. And the other very important thing which you mentioned was that you did not take a break from your office work even during chemo.
Not really. Because I was on a weekly shot, so I used to do it on Saturday. Then Sunday I used to take rest. Sunday was full day sleeping time. So no, I don't even used to get into the kitchen. My people at home used to manage it. So from Monday I used to be back at work and without any problem. Yes, by evening sometimes I used to have a little leg pain, but that was manageable.
So I guess that is also important, because if you keep busy with, if you're busy with work, or if you keep your mind diverted with other activities, then you don't think about your cancer and the chemo side.
Sure. I completely agree on that, because at work there are all office politics, office gossips, and that keeps you so much busy with things, and then your work is always there, so it just keeps on going.
So the other thing which you mentioned was that the people in your office were very supportive.
Yes.
And did you notice a change in their attitude towards you after your diagnosis? Were you given special, treatment? And how did you cope up with people after your diagnosis?
Seriously, there was no special treatment or there was no difference, because first of all, only my bosses and my direct people who I used to work only knew, because that time there was no hair loss or anything like that, so no one knew, and I was as active as ever. So there was no much changes. My bosses, yes, they supported me when I was like not feeling well. I remember once I just came running to the hospital while my stitches were going off. So things like that. But otherwise, there was no special treatment. They were always supportive whenever I needed. When I'm not well, I used to just say I'm not well and I used to go off. They gave me an extra sick leave, because we have 7 sick leaves, and I applied. I said maybe I may require an extra sick leave during this course of period. I don't know how many, so they gave me an extra 25 sick leaves, which I didn't really had to use because of the COVID and all things came in. But they were very, very supportive.
So your advice to anyone who's been diagnosed recently and is working as well would be to talk directly with their seniors.
Much, yes.
And everyone, I think so now, is pretty understanding of the fact and they know about cancer.
Yeah.
So they would be willing to help.
It's not those olden days that people, how your cancers, you have to sit on the side, you can't do anything. It's not, at least I didn't feel that in my office, and I think many of people, your patients also, like Megha and all, they still keep on working.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
I don't think so.
So the next thing was, of course, hair loss, and I read a post by you on Facebook as well. So why don't you tell the users, how did you deal with that hair loss? And
it was not a major thing for me. I would say more than the hair loss, my nails were more troublesome for me.
Right.
But yeah, hair loss, yes, there was a thing that, oh, how would I manage with it and how would I go to the work? And so the first thing which I did is I bought lots of fancy caps for myself.
Yeah, I
So
remember seeing one of them in the chemo session.
yeah, so I really freaked out on buying lots of those fancy caps and chemo caps. Then initially, when people came to know in the office, they all first thing was, oh, you would have a hair loss. I said, yeah, I'll manage with that. You have to. I don't have a problem. You guys have a problem. You have to see me like that. But it didn't really made much difference. Initially, I started. First, what I did is I had a small haircut with. I brought my hair till this level so that they don't have a big shock at one go. Then I started wearing a cap. It was winter, so people didn't have a problem. Then by March, when I started, that's when really people started noticing me. I'm still wearing a cap in March. So that's when they came and asked me, "Is something wrong with you?" So I said, "Yeah, there is a problem, which I'll manage, no issues." So, but it really didn't have an issue. And I think once in my lifetime I wanted to become bald, so this gave me an opportunity for that. So one of my dream was to take a photograph in a sari, bald person, and I did that.
I saw that picture on Facebook.
And I did that. I surely did that.
Yes, that was a very graceful picture. So, yeah, another thing which I would like to mention is all throughout chemo, ma'am was regularly baking, and every time she used to come in for chemo, we used to have a treat in the chemo daycare. We used to have some or the other cake prepared specially for us. So we also enjoyed every week, and the chemo staff used to look forward to welcoming her in the chemo daycare.
Baking was a stress buster for me, basically.
Right. So it's important to have that kind of a stress buster.
Yes, that's what we as a group always had a discussion, that we should have some hobby or something which keeps on going. So baking was one of my stress busters. When that was always there. Even my work, when I am very stressed, I go and bake one cake. But this gave me an additional thing. And every Saturday was my chemo, so Friday I used to take that opportunity to make a cake. And my kids also, oh, tomorrow we are getting something new.
Right. And just last week you told me that now your latest hobby is gardening.
Yes.
And you have started, I mean, you're growing a lot of vegetables at home.
Yes.
So, whenever somebody is diagnosed with cancer, they ask me what are the dietary changes, what dietary changes they should make. So why don't you tell users what are the changes which you've made in your lifestyle, and is this gardening, growing these organic vegetables also helping you in pursuing those lifestyle changes?
Yes, mostly what we have done majorly is I have started avoiding food from outside. Home cooked food is the major thing which I have done as of now. And other than that, there is no major dietary changes I've done. Healthy eating, healthy food, no stale foods. That's one thing which I've stopped eating stale foods, because that was part of the chemo thing also. So you shouldn't be eating stale. So which I've continued now, no stale food. Prepare whatever is required, only make that much and then eat that day, finish it off. Other than that, lots of water. I am very bad at drinking water. So that was one my major, and I think that really helps you. So now I make it a point that I at least drink 3 liters of water, more than that if possible. But other than that, yes, that is all what I have.
Sure. Any supplements which you've added in your diet after your breast cancer diagnosis?
I don't remember. Not much.
Okay.
Not much.
Right. So, even with a healthy diet, you can go through your treatment. You don't need to stuff yourself with supplements. Having a healthy diet, a balanced diet is very important during your cancer treatment. And this is something which which we stress upon, especially when patients are undergoing chemotherapy. We tell all of them that you have to have a good balanced diet and keep on eating something at regular intervals.
That's what something I also keep on telling people, that please, even if you don't feel like eating, please eat something.
Right.
All my friends who we were going through, and when we used to call up and say, "Oh, today I don't feel," I said, "Please eat something. You have to eat something." That keeps you going, and make a food like what I used to do. I used to cook for myself many a times. People used to tell me not to do, but because that taste, I used to mix lots of things and do funny cookings, but which was palatable to my tongue, so I used to eat like that. But you should be having continuously. Don't stop eating, because there are times when you feel pukish that stops you from eating, but you should be doing it.
Sure. So you did mention about the support group and the support which you got from other patients in the hospital as well.
Yes.
And everyone, you and another patient are famous for being called the breast cancer twins here, because you started your treatment on the same day and it finished on the same day.
Yeah.
So how did that friendship evolve over the treatment, and how has that helped you during your breast cancer
It
journey?
was a big support. Archana was there. We started it was the same day when we had our port done. We were on the same next beds. There was a curtain in between. We didn't even bother to open that curtain, and we were like separately doing our works. And suddenly, both the husbands started talking, and the curtain was opened in between. It was so dramatic. And then we started talking very casually, and we exchanged our phone numbers. And then slowly and steadily, like every chemo, she used to take chemos on Fridays, Thursdays, I suppose, Thursdays or Fridays, and I used to take it on Saturday because of my work schedule. So, but almost the reactions were similar. So every time that after the chemo something happens, and we used to call up, and that really helped. Like I always felt, or we both always felt that okay, there is someone like me only who I could talk to on these pains. Every time I can't go and tell my family members that I'm having a pain here, or I'm not feeling good. So we used to talk to each other. Even today we do that. So we did our last procedure also together, so that we finish off the entire cycle as twins only.
Right.
So it was really helpful, and it was not Archana. There were many more where we really talked in between and had our issues discussed, and we got a support. It really helps. It really helps if you have a person who you can talk to and who understands you.
Right. The role of family, and specifically your partner, your husband, I know he's played a major role. He was there for all your treatment
Yes, he
cycles.
was.
And what advice would you like to give other breast cancer patients and their partners? What should they be doing as a unit to tide over this problem?
First of all, the major thing which we had to at our home was there was nothing called sickness in the house. So it was as usual, the life was as usual. We used to fight, we used to have fun, we used to have parties, small get-togethers in the house also. In fact, during this entire process, if there was no COVID, we had organized parties, Christmas party, then a New Year party. So all those, it was life as usual. That's very, very important. The moment you have that you are sick and you can't do anything, or the family can't do anything, then everyone gets frustrated on that.
Right.
So that was there. Husbands, yes, they are the biggest support, surely. Because I remember, except one chemo, because there were some issues, there was someone coming in the house. So my father was coming, so my husband had to go to the airport. He was the person who used to always come with me for the chemo. So he felt very confident that I'm coming, even if he didn't do anything there, but he was very confident, oh, I'm coming with you, so everything will be okay, sort of. And yes, my kids were very, very supportive. My elder one was mostly throughout the COVID time, he was my cook whenever I was not well. He wasn't well, but he used to be like, okay, you continue, don't get into my things, I'll manage myself. So that was the younger one was very, very supportive. He couldn't do big things, but then he made more small things, like my legs used to pain. He used to be one of the, even at night, 12 o'clock, if I tell him, Rommel, Hansel, please, my legs are paining, he would come and massage it for me. So that's
so
support.
sweet.
And that really helps you. That feels that, okay, everyone is there with you. So, and we just came out of it very nicely.
So another question which patients ask me is how to break the news to their children. How did you go about doing that, and what was their reaction when they came to know that you have cancer?
That was a tough one. So once my husband was not involved in this one. He said I may not be able to do it.
Right.
So I called them both. We sat in the front room and I said, see, there is a problem and there is an issue. There's something like this. So my elder one understands it. My younger one doesn't understand it. So my elder one was like, so he would start, typical teenager, he would start which stage, what, how, and he came up with lots of questions. So I said, I don't have any answers for now. But yes, as the results would come, we will come. There's a PET scan which we have to do. Before PET scan only, I told them.
Sure.
First, after the biopsy, I had told them. So one thing which both of them came up saying, and I feel very emotional about it. No, 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 you can't go like that. You have to get us married and everything. And that's typical kids and how they react because they also see all those things.
Sure.
I said, yeah, no issues. I will be there for you. Don't worry. We'll fight it out together. So that's how it came out.
So I think so. One needs to be quite honest with their family and their children, and if
Yes.
they're old enough to understand, it should be discussed with them.
And they do real good research. But in fact,
True.
many of my research was done by him only. Like what I wanted to know, I used to tell him if it is like this, what would happen. So he will go into the Google, and they are more better in computers than us. So they come up with lots of things.
Right. So next came the final bit was radiotherapy. How did that go? And that happened during the lockdown period. So
Yeah.
what precautions did you take when you were going to the hospital every day for your radiotherapy?
So radiotherapy, yes, we were a bit worried. Even me and Archana used to discuss on this. Yeah, we have to go to the hospital every day and how it would be. So I took my decision because it was the hospital was near to the house. So one thing which I took a decision was I'll take a last slot because the crowd was very less.
Which is
And-
what I tell my patients, that those who are working should take the last slot of the day so that they can finish their work and then go for
Haan,
it.
that is one thing. And for me, because it was a COVID time, and when I used to go at 5:30 in the morning, there was no patient, there was no one in the hospital. So I
Right.
used to feel very secure. And my son used to take me for the entire period because it was working days. So my son was the one who used to take me, and he used to feel very comfortable. Okay, koi nahi hai aaj. He was more scared than me. So that was it. And throughout the journey, it was fine. Yeah, I had my pains and aches here and there, but in a whole, it just went off.
Sure.
I used to take an evening ride with my son. We had to have a hearty time on the road, and it just went off. I won't say for radiotherapy I had anything special to say on it. Yeah, my entire neck portion was black during that time, and I used to feel very bad about it. But with the time, it just went off, and it was okay.
So, a lot of patients whom I talk to, and once they finish their treatment, they say that cancer has taught them certain life lessons. Is that the same with you? And if yes, what are the learnings from this journey over the last 1 year?
Live for yourself, one, because maximum time you're living for others.
Right.
So you have to have some time for yourself. That's
True.
one thing which be happy in whatever situation. Because in this journey I've met so many people. Like I feel I'm the least one in that entire lot. There are many people who I met who had undergone 60 chemos and all this. Seeing them, I felt this is nothing. So be happy in all situations. That's one thing. A little bit of lifestyle changes, yes, I surely do, because I was not a very exercising person. So I've made it a habit to go for a regular walk and all those things. But yes, live for yourself and be happy is my take for the entire thing. So whatever happens, I'm least bothered nowadays. So initially it was for anything I used to get panicked, or oh, I am like, my BP used to go high. Nothing.
Sure. So, and also one more thing which I should have asked earlier is that you also have diabetes.
Yes.
And a lot of patients, when they come to us, they say, look, I already have diabetes, I have hypertension. How will I tolerate chemo? And it'll be more troublesome for me. So during the course of your treatment, especially chemo, did your diabetic status bother you?
Not at all.
Right.
Not at all. Food, yes, you had to have that restrictions of foods, but other than that, it never bothered me. Initially, you had told me that there would be tinglings and all those
Sure,
things, but
yeah.
even I didn't feel much of that also.
Except for your nails?
Yes, my nails were a trouble for me because my
Right.
nails completely came off, almost all of them. So
Yeah.
other than that, there was no much trouble.
Right. So, any final message for ladies out there and for breast cancer patients who are currently undergoing therapy?
For the ladies out there, I keep on now, whenever I meet my friends or my office groups, I always tell, please keep on checking. And if there is, even if you feel a small lump, please go ahead and check it out. If it is cancerous, not cancerous, that's a secondary thing. But please go and do it, because we have a habit of sitting on it. Typical woman attitude that yes, it is nothing. In fact, I can say I used to sit with it saying that, oh, it must be a calcification. But please, that's the major. Do a regular checkup and go and check it if there is a minor lump in your breast or you feel any discomfort or whatever it is. For the breast cancer patients, be happy about what you're doing. Just let it go the way it is, and you will come through it.
Sure. So thank you very much for taking out time. I think so this would be very useful for not only cancer patients but also their families to understand the journey right from diagnosis to treatment. Thank you very much for taking out time. Thank you for tuning in for this live session. We will be continuing this series, and next month also we'll have another conversation with a breast cancer survivor where we'll discuss more questions post treatment and during the follow-up process as well. Thank you.
Thank you.